We are tracking the ongoing labor dispute between Air Canada and its pilots. Both sides are still at the table, but the company says it could suspend flights as soon as Sunday. Chris Glover is at the pilot union headquarters now. Chris, what's the latest from there?
Well, Dwight, you put it quite correctly there. Both sides, in fact, say that they're optimistic that a strike or a lockout could be averted here. But as you were mentioning, Air Canada has moved ahead finalizing those contingency plans to wind down planes. That could start on Sunday. And the union here is launching its strike center today. So all of these people behind me, many of them are pilots themselves, and they're touching base with Air Canada pilots domestically and internationally as well, updating them on what is going on with this contract impasse between the union and between Air Canada. And so essentially they're trying to find out where everybody is. They've put a little priority checklist here. They're trying to track the pilots, find out where they are. If a strike or a lockout begins, they'll support the pilots and their families. And then finally, they're going to try to get them home if they need to, if the strike or lockout prolongs and goes for a significant amount of time. So that's why a center like this, quite unique to see in the days leading up to a strike or a lockout, but obviously this is a unique set of circumstances. And they're also tracking their planes here on this board that you can see behind me. Roman here was just filling me in on what this is all about. And every plane there is symboled by a yellow plane. And ultimately, if there is a strike or a lockout next week, all of those little yellow planes would disappear. And I want to bring in now somebody who's with the union, Charlene Hoodie. You're a pilot yourself, and you're here launching this center today. Tell me, why is a center like this so important in a strike or a lockout that is as unique as we're talking about right now?
So we are ready. We opened our strike center this morning. We're fully prepared and ready. A staffed strike center should we be in a strike position or a lockout position from Air Canada. We have to be able to support our pilots, and we are ready to do so. We have countless volunteers putting in a lot of time to make sure our pilots are supported, and the support and services from the International Airline Pilots Association, the union that we're a part of.
We're hearing from both sides that they are optimistic that a strike can be avoided, and yet we have Air Canada finalizing its contingency plans to wind down planes potentially starting on Sunday. You guys are starting this headquarters here. How likely do you think a strike or a lockout is going to be?
We really need Air Canada to stay committed to the bargaining table and come to the table with an offer, an agreement that we can really contemplate. I would much rather be here today telling yourself and the Canadian public that we've come to a deal with Air Canada. Unfortunately, we're not there yet. We're here opening up our strike center instead.
Now, the big sticking point with this strike has been truly about wages. Obviously, we've heard from the pilots union saying that they want to have parity with pilots in the United States. Air Canada has sent us a statement, and they said that that was an unfair wage increase and out of step with other contracts that other Canadian companies are receiving. What would you and other pilots what's your view on that perspective from Air Canada, saying that what you're asking for is too much?
It's a very creative interpretation of what we're trying to achieve at the negotiations table. This is about a total compensation package as it relates to our wages and also to our working conditions. What I mean by that is the quality of life concerns we have, scheduling, vacation. You know, we do love our jobs as Air Canada pilots, and we take them very seriously. The responsibility we carry when we fly our passengers all over the world. We're asking to have that work-life balance so that when we go home, we have enough days to really fully rest and recuperate so that we can operate our jobs well rested. And I also know I'm representing 1,000 pilots who have a second job right now. They have that second job out of necessity. It's because they need to put food on the table. They need to pay their bills. They're trying to pay off the debt they accumulated to become a pilot in the first place.
Okay, well, thank you, Charlene, very much for speaking with us this morning. Charlene Hoodie here with the union, giving us a look at what's going on here inside this room. We did also speak with a labor studies professor from Carleton University who said even if a work stoppage takes place with Air Canada, it likely would be short-lived. Here's more from Ian Lee.
Successive parliaments of Canada, successive governments, It didn't matter the partisanship or the political party. They legislated striking workers back to work 33 times since 1950. 31 of the 33 times were in the transportation sector only. Well, these workers certainly have the right to strike. Supreme Court affirmed that in 2015. The reality in our country is that if you exercise that right in the transportation sector only, it is a very short step before you will be sent back to work, either through a back-to-work legislation or binding arbitration.
And Dwight, Premier Doug Ford has also weighed in on this morning, calling the potential here very concerning, but saying that it's a great union, a good company, and he is certainly hopeful that Air Canada will not see a strike or any sort of work stoppage here.
Thank you for the update.